If you would have noticed, you must have noticed that the intensity of floods all in all, their intensity, their frequency, and the damages that have been caused by floods in India have kept on increasing in the recent times. Now, floods have started coming in all those regions which were never affected by floods at all. Floods have started affecting those places which have been affected only for a small period of a time. And floods of variety of types have started coming into those regions where only one variety was known. For example, flash floods are one of those type of floods which used to be coming and used to be inundating a region in a small period of a time, and all the water used to run off. Now, flash floods along with slightly increasing floods, that means a slowly paced increase in the water, both of them have started taking place here. Now, this has cropped up a variety of type of questions associated with floods here. And the most important question is that why floods will keep coming. Of course, floods are a natural phenomenon. They are going to be coming. They have come into India. They have affected it. But then why is it that will keep coming? And we are saying that they will keep coming. Come what you do. Come what it may. Do whatever you can. Floods will keep coming. Now, you must go to understand that flood is essentially a negative connotation towards a river, which natural tendency is to inundate, is to increase its volume of water, is to increase its overall amount of water. That is a natural tendency of any river. That is called as inundation. Now, we want to call it flood because we ourselves, human beings, are affected. We ourselves cause the floods, and then we keep on giving these type of negative names to it. Of course, that is not environmental ethics, but then human beings are always like that. First, they create a situation, then they aggravate a situation, then they don't know how to manage it, then they're going to blame nature or blame the government, blame India, blame Prime Minister, and then blame everyone, gods as well, for that purpose. So, floods are bound to keep on coming. You will understand it. That is, floods have kept coming in India for a variety of regions, and they have been so. They have been so for time immemorial of sorts. One is that the tendency in a flood is that the total amount of water that will go to run off, that amount of water is going to be much more high than the amount of water that will infiltrate, that will go to percolate inside. Now, if the water that is percolating inside is much more than the amount of water that is running off, then floods won't take place. And if the water remains in that place, that runs off to such an extent that the river, the channel, the valley is not able to accommodate it, of course, it goes on to cause floods then. That is the basic reason of a river getting flooded. That is the basic reason of rivers only, not exactly coastal areas. Coastal areas will go on to get flooded because of a tsunami. Lacustrine areas, the areas around lakes, will go on to get flooded because the lake water will go on to increase. River valleys will go on to get flooded because the river water affects the adjoining areas. Why is it that they have been coming here? They have been coming because of many reasons. For example, if you're going to take the case of flash floods, one of them is going to be cloudburst. Cloudburst is a very small amount of rainfall in a very short period of a time, and it has taken place in a lot of places in India, including Himachal Pradesh, including Uttarakhand, including Chamoli, including Uttarkashi. In all those places, the amount of water is high enough to fill the river valley. Not only that, since it comes down the slope, it comes with all the debris, and that debris is going to block the path of the river, causing the water to rise. And when the natural dam goes into collapse, or maybe the blockage goes into collapse, it goes on to lead to flood. Second is glacial outburst. Glacial outburst is when the glaciers deposit a moraine at the mouth of the glacier, and then the glacial water melts, the molten water is a lake. When the mouth goes on to collapse, it goes on to lead to glacial outburst. Kedarnath flood was such type of a glacial outburst. Tropical cyclones cause floods in coastal areas. And in tropical cyclone, in 1 hour of a time or 2 days of a time, the total amount of rainfall is much more than what can happen in a complete year of a time as well. Consequently, the river channels are not able to carry it. That is number one. Second is, when tropical cyclones affect a region, then the storm surges that take place, they are 24 feet, 20, 30 feet storm surges that keep on banging against the coast. They are able to cause inundation in the low-lying areas, in the coastal areas. Most of the floods that are coming into the coastal areas, into the adjoining coastal areas and the coastal river valleys are caused by tropical cyclones, or maybe even some 500, 600 kilometers inland as well. The fourth is bursting of natural dams. A bursting of a natural dam will going to take place consequent upon a natural dam creation because of the formation of the blockage of any river. For example, if landslide has taken place and a valley has been blocked, and because the valley has been blocked, the natural dam will going to cause the water to accumulate. That will cause inundation. And when this natural dam collapses after some amount of time, a wall of water goes on to move. That is causing flash flood. There has been similar type of a flash flood caused by the bursting of dam. The most notable in India has been that of Gohna. That was way back in something like some 18th century. But then a lot of a small bursting of natural dams have taken place even in 2021 as well. In the mountainous regions of Uttarakhand, in Himachal Pradesh, in Kashmir as well. Second is the slow rising kind. Slow rising kind, that means the water level goes on to increase slowly, slowly, slowly. And one of them is, of course, heavy rainfall. Now, heavy rainfall is, that is the amount of rainfall is heavy. And whenever in a river like that of Ganges, if the amount of rainfall is heavy, all the tributaries go on to bring a good amount of water to the main river. To the consequent river. And because that goes on to bring a good amount of rainfall to the main river, to the consequent river, what happens is that the main river accumulates a good amount of water and it goes on to increase its amount of water. Now, this is the basic reason for flooding that takes place in somewhere in the Gangetic plain. Then second is going to be high water table. Now, if the rainfall is heavy, and supposing that all the water runs off, then it will not go on to get flooded. Of course, it will go on to get flooded where the water will go on to accumulate. And supposing if the rainfall is taking place and a high amount of rainfall taking place, and the water, instead of running off, it goes on to soak inside, but it is unable to soak inside, it is unable to percolate inside because of the high water table. And where is this type of a high water table available? That is in North Bihar plains. In North Bihar plains, if the flood is taking place, it is basically because of high water table. And then you have a large catchment area. Large catchment area can go on to cause floods in all those areas like Gangetic plain, where the catchment area is actually very, very large, where all the tributary rivers go on to bring water from different type of sources. Then siltation of the channel. Supposing some of the rivers are getting silted, that means the channel is getting silted, and then the amount of water holding capacity for the channels for these rivers goes on to decrease, like that of the Ganges, from all the way from Allahabad to Buxar to Bhagalpur, that is getting silted. And because of this siltation, and can you imagine the amount of silt? It can go on to be as much as 40 feet, 50 feet. That is, some of the ships which have got buried in Mississippi River, when the ships were taken out, can you imagine 40 feet of silt was deposited in these places and the ship was completely buried under it. Siltation is a reason for floods, and that is a reason that is increasing day by day, day by day. Meandering of the river is going to be another cause, which is going to be in the plain regions. And how is it that meandering is possible? When rivers go on to meander, when they go on to move in a zigzag manner, then the rivers do not allow the water to drain effectively. It's like you have a road and the road is not straight, the road is zigzag. So there will be traffic jam. So there is a water jam here. So meandering of a river will go on to cause floods and has been causing floods in the Gangetic plain. Then inland drainage. Now such type of a condition, that one that exists in Rajasthan, where the rivers going to be draining themselves inland, like in Sambar Lake, Pichola Lake, not exactly Pichola, but then that is part of it. And in good number of places where the rivers come from every direction and go on to be converging in a central point, and that is inland drainage. A good number of places in Rajasthan are now getting inundated because of this inland drainage, because of course the rainfall is increasing, and when the rainfall is increasing, the rivers are not equipped and the lakes are also not equipped to carry that much amount of river, or to accumulate that much amount of river. An offshore bar formation, it's like what will going to happen in Chilika Lake. In Chilika Lake, which has been enclosed, it is an enclosed lake, and if the amount of water increases, it will go on to lead to a slow rising flood. Not in Chilika Lake, it can go on to be Pulicat Lake as well. All of these regions which are blocked by offshore bar. And then blocking of the natural flow, that is if there is a natural flow of the river and that has been blocked. So if it is that the natural flow of the river has been blocked because of the formation of a natural dam, then the water will rise slowly, 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 and the upstream areas, not the downstream areas, the upstream area will start getting flooded. Tsunami will go to cause flood. And how is it that the tsunami will go to cause it? There is one wave of tsunami, second wave of tsunami, the third wave of tsunami, the waters will go on to go something like somewhere 100, 200 kilometers inland, and all the coastal areas uniformly will go on to get themselves inundated. And the areas that are affected by India, in this case, tsunami is going to be the last tsunami that has affected India, that was in 2004, and that was well known. Now, all of those areas, like it can be Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu, it can go on to be Kadalur in Tamil Nadu as well, some portions of Andhra Pradesh, Odisha as well, which are low-lying areas, are going to be affected by that. As much as they are going to be affected also by tropical cyclones, because these are the low-lying areas which are bound to get affected by such type of tropical cyclones. Littoral drift is essentially a small amount of water that has got itself diverted towards the beaches or towards the coastal areas, and the water starts increasing around the beaches or along the coastal areas because the sea current goes on to find itself way into the areas which are going to be coastal areas or the beach areas. Some human beings have been able to accentuate these type of conditions. For example, one is deforestation. What deforestation can go on to do? Deforestation will go on to allow the forest cover to be removed. Now that will go on to cause the runoff to increase. That will also go on to cause that the infiltration is reduced, and runoff is increased, infiltration is reduced, so the runoff goes on to increase even more, and there is nothing to hold the soil. The water flows off with a very, very high speed and carrying all the silt. So it has two effects. The speed of the water increases and the amount of silt increases. The amount of silt will go on to fill the river valley, and the river's capacity to carry that amount of water will go on to decrease. Now this is a factor which may be taking place in Nepal, and that is going to be causing floods in India, which may be taking place in the upper reaches of the river valley, and that may be causing floods in the lower region. Urban structure is another one. Urban structure means a concrete jungle. The urban area, that is a concrete jungle. And because the urban area is a concrete jungle, all the water that goes on to fall, this falling water will not allow the water to infiltrate. So that is, urban areas are made in such a manner that all the water will run off. It is designed in such a manner that water has to run off, water has to move, water has to travel. And that is why it will go on to cause floods. Urban structure. Dam burst. You have made a dam, and that is a man-made cause, and because the dam is not able to accumulate that much amount of water, either you're going to open the gate of the dam, then all the low-lying areas will go on to get flooded. Now in this manner, Chennai floods of 2013-14, they were the one that got flooded largely because that is the dam water, that is the reservoir was full to the brim, and people have no idea. They opened all the gates of the dam, flooding the whole of Chennai. That was because of a dam burst. Faulty agriculture practices, that is when people go on to follow a type of agriculture that will go on to allow all the water from the upper region to move downward in a simple linear manner. Then the water, as it goes on to flow downslope, it will go on to increase in speed, increase, and that will go on to cause floods. Now, of late, floods have started taking place of late because of a variety of factors, because of a variety of other regions as well. And what can be those type of regions? One of them is going to be associated with climatic aberrations. And when we are going to be talking about climatic aberration is something that is we are not able to cope up with it. It basically means sometimes the temperature is very high and the rainfall is very high. The intensity of rainfall goes on to increase. That is, rainfall can go on to take place in short spells. Rainfall can go on to take place in the form of a cloud burst. Rainfall can go on to take place in the form of 6 days of rainfall in just about 2 hours of a time. And this is a climatic aberration that will go on to cause floods, and that is likely to cause it. Ecological issues will be a factor, and that is because something like, let's say you're going to build Char Dham, you're going to build hydropower projects in the mountainous areas, you're going to build roads in those places, you're going to increase the slope, you're going to cut the slope, you're going to remove the trees, you're going to use dynamite to blast the region, and you're going to make the other region completely weak. And that is what is the basic reason for flooding in the hilly areas. Silt deposits on the river bed, and that is what is the basic factor for the decreased capacity of the river carrying water in the plain regions of Gangetic plain, and that is an increasing factor. This is a factor that will go on to keep on causing flood in the Gangetic plain and all of the Ganges and the Ganges in the Brahmaputra region. Floodplain constriction and encroachment, this is a significant part. And why is it going to be a significant part? It is a significant part because people going to start moving towards the river, and they encroach the river, they encroach the embankments of the river, and then they start shouting that the river is getting flooded, and they do it deliberately, or maybe they are promoted by the government to do it so that the government can go to take their sympathy, and they can go to say that they are the one who are going to be solving the problem. Then deforestation in the upper catchment areas, that is any type of a deforestation that takes place in the upper catchment area that is responsible for causing flood in the lower regions. And any settlements that are going to take place in the river, near river, like what has happened in Adya river in Tamil Nadu. People moved close to the river, they encroached it, they settled near to the river. So the river, as the river level rose, then the whole of the region got itself flooded. Some of these places, the wetlands were reclaimed. For example, one of the best reasons for wetland reclamation and flooding caused has been that of Mumbai as well as in Chennai. In Chennai, all the wetlands have been encroached, and these wetlands are going to be almost like that of they are shock absorbers. They are going to be absorbers of the water. They are also like kidney of nature. And some of them, like Madmiryani in Chennai and also in the Navi Mumbai region, both of these wetlands, when they have reclaimed, then the river had nowhere to go. So what it did, it flooded the whole of the region. Can you imagine 2 stories buildings being get completely inundated because of this factor? That has been wetland reclamation. Failed planning to control in the form of embankments. Embankments have actually aggravated flooding situation. And why is it that embankments have led to a flooding situation? Embankments have led to a flooding situation largely because when you go into building embankments, let's say 2 embankments are built, they constrict the flow of the river. So the river that is going to be inside, if that river is going to be somewhere here, then these embankments that have been built with the river, which was going to be such a big river, and when these embankments have been made, the river flow goes on to increase. That is, the level of the river goes on to be increasing in this case. And this is a major factor for flooding in the Gangetic plain as well as in the Brahmaputra plain. And the diminished understanding of the river. We do not go on to know how is it that the river behaves. We do not go on to understand the ecology of the river. We do not go on to respect the river. And if we do not go on to respect the river, Rivers are bound to get flooded, and we do not going to know that as well. River has a rule. Wherever the river has a way, stay out of it. We don't go to follow that rule at all. Now, in the coming days, rivers are likely to flood because of many rivers, many reasons. One of them is a government's growth-oriented policy. When we talk about government's growth-oriented policy, government doesn't going to think about the sustainability at all. Government is going to be concerned mostly of growth, not of development, not of sustainable development. So that growth-oriented policy means chopping of trees, making concrete buildings, building of roads, making of dams, and whatnot. So this is a factor that will keep on increasing, and consequently flooding will also keep on increasing. Then the effect of dams. When you're going to build a dam, you're going to use a dynamite, and with the help of the dynamite, we're going to destroy the entire of the region. You're going to enlarge all of those type of cracked other things in that place. And because of it, because of the cutting of the trees, because of the steepening of the slopes, you go on to cause floods. And moreover, when you're going to build a spillway, then you do go on to cause a lot of devastation in the region where the dams are being built. Increasing encroachment, people will go on to find themselves encroaching the rivers. Some of these governments do it deliberately. And why is it that they're going to do it deliberately? Because they allow the people to move, and then they're going to show sympathy to it. Then they're going to politicize this issue. In Bihar, one of these governments, before the present government, what they used to do is that they used to inundate something like some 7,000 villages. And then the leader used to go with a sweet face and say that, see, you have got flooded, I'll go on to give you some kambal and so on. A flood is a very good politics because it allows you to take sympathy, and foolish people, they're going to give vote. Floods and droughts, both of them are significant in this region. And then deforestation in the upper regions, aided by ill planning. Now, why is it that deforestation will going to take place? Because the people will going to move to regions where they shouldn't have gone on to move at all. And because these people are likely to move to the regions where they shouldn't have moved, what they're going to do is that they're going to put enough amount of pressure on the river and on the river bed, on the river basin, and chop off the trees, because that's the only one on which they can go to rely. And they cause a good amount of silt and the water to flow downstream. And lastly, a loss of green areas in the city. We are building more cities, more green areas are being lost, more wetlands are being reclaimed, most of the rivers are being completely taken aback. Like what Mithi River has been done. Mithi River has gone to completely get obliterated in Mumbai. And then when the rivers go on to reclaim their path, they do go on to get flooded. So there is no way that we are looking for how is it that the floods can actually go on to get diminished in the near future.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.